Hey mamas, welcome to Breastfeeding Relief with Bethany. We share incredible stories, tips, and breastfeeding ideas to help on your journey. I'm your host, Bethany Laverne, a lactation consultant and speech therapist who helps mamas with breastfeeding. Not all breastfeeding stories are the same, and we dive into those topics. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Bethany?
Good, thank you. So let me go ahead and introduce Lisa. She's a registered dietitian with a master's in nutrition and public health, the founder of Bumpin Blends smoothie cubes, and a mother of two. She founded Bumpin Blends to make and deliver dietitian-designed smoothie cubes to women all over the country to support their needs, with smoothies to support milk supply, mood, energy, focus, sex drive, and more. Lisa lives in Los Angeles with her husband and busy toddler Oliver and a 5-year-old Caroline, and loves hiking, yoga, and movie nights. Awesome. That's so exciting. I love the smoothie cubes. That sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. They are a game changer.
I bet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and tell us about your breastfeeding journeys?
So I've had, my two kids, I had totally different experiences breastfeeding both of them. My daughter, Caroline, my first kid, I think we can all relate to that first child. You come home from the hospital and you have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And I had like a postpartum doula that was like, don't worry, I know everything about breastfeeding, so I'll help you. Okay. And that was all wrong.
Oh
And I
no.
wasn't really successful breastfeeding my daughter. And so she ended up being kind of half breastfed, half formula fed until she was about 3.5, 4 months old. And then we just went full formula after that. Cause I couldn't
Sure.
get supply. I couldn't
Mhm.
make it work. And my son, I was like determined. I'm like, this is like my top priority is
Mhm.
figuring out how to exclusively breastfeed him, because I was disappointed that I couldn't make it work with my daughter. And so my son ended up being exclusively breastfed,
Mhm.
not even a pumped bottle, until like 15 months.
Okay.
Um, so very different experiences with both kids.
Sure.
My daughter's journey was it was just tough because I was getting a lot of different advice and information on what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was always conflicting. And I was pumping so much.
Mm-hmm.
My supply wasn't there. So the doula I had was like, just pump for 30 minutes after each feed, pump, pump. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was pumping like crazy, but what she didn't take into account was the fact that I was very concerned at the time with getting back to my pre-baby body, pre-baby weight. So I wasn't
Okay.
eating enough.
Okay.
I was not eating much.
Okay.
And I'm eating just like vegetables and salads and stuff. And so I had no supply. I would be pumping for 30 minutes and get like a half an ounce, and she's like, just pump more, keep pumping. And so that was, I founded Bumpin Blends. And so
Mm-hmm.
what made a huge world of difference with my son was I didn't pump at all. And I was eating and drinking smoothies that were full of different things that really support breast milk production. I was
Mm-hmm.
drinking smoothies with like oats and peanut butter and brewer's yeast and all of that
Uh-huh.
to really support breastfeeding. And so that made a huge difference for me.
Mm-hmm. No, I love that. Yeah, that whole story. But yeah, it is super important to stay hydrated. I had another lady talk the other day about how she did not drink through the night because she wanted to get up and go pee. So, so I get that, but yeah.
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 When my son was literally drinking one of the Bump and Blend smoothies is peanut butter and jelly flavored,
Uh-huh.
um, which is like amazing. And it was all I was craving. And so I would literally make a peanut butter and jelly smoothie in the middle of the night when I'm breastfeeding my son.
Sure.
Uh, because I was like, this is the only way I can breastfeed now and have milk in the morning.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Why don't you go ahead and tell us one thing you wish you would have known about breastfeeding?
Um, that if you are stressing about how hard it is,
Mhm.
it's going to make it harder.
Mhm.
That if you feel like you're stressing and it's not working and this isn't, your supply is low, your baby's not latching, like stressing about that stuff and trying to pump and do all these things, like honestly taking it back to basics is like, at least for me, was
Mhm.
really, really powerful of like,
Mhm.
hey, my son and I can figure this out. Like, I'm making sure I'm getting the nutrients to have
Mhm.
supply. I'm making sure I'm eating a lot, drinking a lot of water, having that, but also he and I can mess with the latch together. We can tweak things. We can
Mhm.
consult actual lactation consultants with certifications,
Yes.
and a doula who says that she has that. And that it's like if you're stressing about it and it's
Mhm,
causing stress in your body,
mhm,
you're not going to be able to produce as much milk or as
mhm.
I'm not exactly sure of the intricacies of how stress impacts milk supply, but I bet it's not good.
Yeah. No, it is not great. No, absolutely
Yeah.
not. So, even when you're pumping, don't watch your pump and be like, oh, how many ounces do I have now? How many ounces? I always say cover it up. Don't look at it. It's good for the insert ones like the Willow now, but
Mhm.
cover it up with a blanket. Don't look at it and just, have your timer going and then be like, okay, I feel empty or my timer's done or whatever. I got to go back to work.
Absolutely.
Because
I
Mhm.
like with my pump, so I had that awful experience with my daughter,
Sure.
just so many memories of sitting there staring at the pump and
Mhm.
like crying because I wanted to breastfeed and it just wasn't working out. I
Sure.
didn't know why. And then when I kind of pulled out all the baby stuff from the garage when I was pregnant with my son, I pulled out the pump and literally just looking at it, like this gives me chills just even mentioning it, but just
Mhm.
looking at the pump gave me such intense anxiety that I
Sure.
was like crying.
Aw.
When I just pulled it out, I was like crying and shaking. My husband's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm having like a visceral reaction to just
Mhm.
looking at this thing because
Mhm.
it was so unpleasant and stressful."
Mhm. Mhm.
So yeah, don't look at the pump. If you need a pump, great. Don't stress it. Have it be a friend, not a foe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. What helped facilitate making your second journey easier?
The nutrition, like the
Sure.
food was such a big part of it, the
Mhm.
smoothie, the water, the oatmeal, like just,
Mhm.
making sure that you're fueling your body to make milk. Like
Mhm.
making milk is not easy. You got to give it the right fuel.
Mhm.
And then just doing what felt right for me and consulting with an actual lactation consultant. Those three
Yes.
things, like nutrition, doing what felt right in my body and
Mhm.
consulting a real professional, like,
Mhm.
were such a game changer for me.
Mhm.
It's like, pumping never felt right to me. I never was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, time to pump."
Mhm.
Um, and so for my son, I was like, I'm not gonna do that. It
Mhm.
doesn't feel right."
No. And I think that's a good point to bring up that if you don't like what the first person has to say, or you don't feel like they're giving you good advice, it's okay to go get a second opinion. Everyone's different. I'm a speech therapist that's a lactation consultant. However, I've worked with other lactation consultants that are nurses, or one is a dietitian. And so we all look at it like differently,
Mhm.
from different lenses, right? So, if you feel like now you might not have felt like your nutrition was bad, but if you feel like your nutrition's bad, go try to find a dietitian that also is certified in lactation.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. So I always say it's good to get a second opinion. It's not going to hurt anything. Mhm,
Definitely.
mhm.
Yeah, taking that original person's advice as, like, law
Gold.
to me. I didn't realize that there were different opinions and that there were different
Mhm.
I didn't realize it was so complicated.
Sure.
And
Sure.
then ended up not being so complicated.
Mhm.
It was just the different opinions were complicated, so
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I mean, really, with like any industry, right? Like, I'm a speech therapist. And even though the school I went to, there's 40 of us that graduated together, we all took different paths. So we all see things differently,
mhm.
And so that's really with any industry. It's good to get a second opinion of someone that's maybe a little more specialized in something. So,
Yeah,
yeah. Awesome.
absolutely.
Why don't you tell us what was your favorite breastfeeding product you used?
The Haka. The
Oh,
Haka breast pump changed my whole life. It was
okay.
amazing. Because it was like, I was able to get out extra milk in case I needed it. I ended up not really using it much with my son and
Sure.
the extra milk,
Hmm.
but just to be able to have something that's collecting the extra milk
Yes.
and it's collecting it while you're releasing all those beautiful hormones while
Mhm.
breastfeeding the other side. Like
Mhm.
I just used it like one on the Hawk on one side, my son on the other side. And it was like
Mhm.
to just be able to relax and be breastfeeding my son, but also collecting extra milk in case
Mhm.
or whatever for pumped milk was just such a game changer to me.
Mhm.
I didn't even touch the actual pump once
Mhm.
ever with my
Yeah.
son. It's just like I always had extra supply in case I needed it
Mhm.
because it was relaxing to pump extra milk because the hog was there.
Mhm.
Just be careful that it doesn't pop off on the couch
Oh,
and
sure. Oh, yikes. Yeah. Then you're allowed to cry over spilled milk,
yeah.
especially if it goes on the couch. I mean, even the
That's
counter, you're allowed to cry.
on the couch. Great.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure every mother has cried over spilled milk. I definitely have. Yeah.
Definitely.
Especially the one time my husband, with our first son, I had pumped some milk. It was sitting in the fridge and it separates, Mom. So if you don't know, it separates, and that's okay, right? It's the fat separating out. So you're supposed to swirl it. And so he looked in the fridge. It had only been 24 hours since I pumped it. And he goes, "Oh, the milk was bad. I threw it all out." I literally start bawling. I was like, "It was not bad yet. You can keep it in the fridge." Like,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
I've cried over thrown away milk. I've cried over spilled milk. I've a lot of
Yeah.
milk crying.
All of it. Yeah. Just don't cry over expired milk because you can use it in other ways. So I love to put it in my kids' bath when they have diaper rash.
Yeah.
That's the best. So don't cry if it's expired. Keep it in your freezer. Don't throw it out. So, well, thank you for your time. Can you let everyone know how they can connect with you?
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This was
Yeah.
great. You can find me at bumpinblends.com. I'm the founder still of that smoothie cube company. And I love connecting with moms there because our smoothie cubes have been such a game changer for so many moms that it's always fun to connect there. So you can find us bumpinblends.com or at bumpinblends on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for your time and your advice today.
Thank you so much, Bethany.
Thank you so much for listening in. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much if you would share it with another mama or post on social media and tag me. I want to personally thank you for wanting to help other mamas. You got this. I'm rooting for your breastfeeding journey.